Actually, it was a trap name because microservices are getting really, really popular, and everybody wants to learn microservices and talk about them. So I just put microservices, but because somehow they were services and they were micro. But it doesn't really have to do with that. Okay, I'll get through. The thing is, I'm from Netbeast. My name is Jesus. Some people call me Jesus, other dude. The thing is, I'm co-founder and CTO of Netbeast. We're building an operative system for routers, which is focused on IoT. And I don't really like that word. I hate the word IoT because it really means nothing. And I'm going to define it better. Yeah, somehow. It was on record, right? What? It was on record. Okay. So I'm actually also sometimes mercenary for TopTal. It's a consultancy network, and they're really cool dudes. They're good people. So my main area, I was writing Rails on Ruby, and someday I realized that wasn't going to run on a router because they were really crappy. So I decided to learn at the same time Angular and Node. And now I fell in love with them. I'm experimenting some with React. That's for you to know something about me. And the moment you make some questions. Our website is quite buggy still, but you can visit it. And those are my Twitter accounts and the Twitter accounts of my colleagues. So what the talk? First of all, because I wanted to meet you. The thing is, we organized a hackathon a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't reach all the JavaScript community over here, and I really wanted to meet you. Our product is beta. We're open source guys. We don't want to sell anything. We want to learn with you. I'm not expert, and I'm learning a lot from all your talks, and I'm having fun here. So that's why I wanted to come. These are Rivera offices, and I want to, on record, invite you all again to do a next or someone JavaScript meetup in the center of Munich, in Koffingerstrasse. And now that I know you, I can do that. Oh, thank you. So the topic, it's because it's the thing I love the most, and because they chose it because it was the top of the list. So I offered to talk about several stuff, and this was like the most interesting name. Yes, and it was second. Like, this is what I meant. The Internet of shitty things is here. Have all your best home appliances ruined by putting the Internet in them. This means your toaster machine is working perfectly fine. You decide to put Wi-Fi on it, and then it breaks. Now you have stuff that breaks easier than before, and that doesn't really make anything more useful. So it's just more and more expensive. That's why I love this Twitter account. You should follow him. So this is a real problem, okay? You're trying to build your, say, smart house, if anyone wants to do that really, okay? You be prepared to pay 2,000 euros for some crappy appliances that doesn't help you at all. And this is because providers are really expensive. If you're trying to have some smart lighting, you're going to get to pay 80 euros per light. And the reason I didn't brought here a Philips Hue is because my colleague broke one 2 days ago. And it works like this. You buy your IoT stuff, okay, that needs to be connected to the router through a hub, because it's connected through radio link to the hub somehow, or Bluetooth or Zigbee, and routers are so old, they don't have that communication integrated. And yes, I know Google One Hub has already implemented it, and yes, I know there are some providers who are trying to improve this, but by the moment, all your routers are really, really crappy. I mean, you can pay 2,000 euros for a really powerful smartphone that has all the connectivity a 200 euro router has, but with around 200 times more computation capability for the same price, and that has no sense. So on one side, we have the connectivity limitations of an old router and the non-cooperation between hubs. And this means if you're shitty wealthy, and I don't want to say bad words, but if you're really wealthy, and can afford to have a single IoT installation in your house, which costs around 5,000 euros. You'll have your solar panels connected to your lab, to your bulbs, and so on. But if you want to, for example, put your Xbox, because you're someplace with it, it's not going to talk with your smart home. If you buy smart bulbs, they're not going to talk to your electrical system. You're not going to know all the aspects of your electrical consumption unless you buy IoT suite, IoT complete game of pieces. So if you have a smart bulb provider, Nest, for example, a Locitron for securing your home, and some smart plugs, you're going to get 4 different providers all connected to your router, somehow to the cloud, because they need connectivity to talk to your smartphone outside your home. Some kind of hub connected to the smart plugs. I mean, there's extra hardware that really doesn't add any capabilities. So this is what we think it's going to be the future. It's not our proposal. It's something that Microsoft has tried to develop, and what Google is developing now is just a router which has Zigbee and Bluetooth integrated. It wasn't so complex. It was really easy for a really low price. So what you get is 4 times lesser cost. This is for vendors also. If any of you are producing any kind of hardware, you would save all the hubs from production because they're already integrated into the hub. You don't need extra capabilities of communication. But this doesn't solve some problems. This only adds the capability for you and from your smart home or your laptop to see all of those different devices without a hub, so you can have them cheaper. But the thing is, those elements doesn't communicate between each other unless you have an application installed on your smartphone. You getting me? Like, you need to have an application for the Lightning, an application for Nest, an application for Locitron, even though you have all of them connected into your Google One Hub. And there is an NB on that because we have a better proposal. So what we said, it's like, okay, let's just put a computer on the top of the router. Let's put plain Debian. Let's put everything you need to run applications. What kind of applications? Of course, node.js applications. Who is going to write Java? I mean, are any of you Java developers? I'm sorry. I mean, it's fun the first 3 years. Yeah, it's object-oriented. Yay. So you can pack everything. Node.js runs even on a browser, so it's magical. Like, you don't need any extra stuff. It's pretty lightweight and it's pretty fast, even though we believe in C++ because it's our God. We use Git for version control, which is something nobody used before somehow. And everything you see on the top, this is just Node on Debian. This isn't anything spectacular. This is the operative system we're building. We just configure some services. So you can type, for example, home.netbeast and access your router. You can change its name and say, I don't know, whatever, home.me or to access your router. And then settings are written in Node, dashboard is an Node application, so you can control all the applications installed on your router. But why would you want to install any applications on your router? You're not going to play World of Warcraft on your router. Well, there are people who are going to do that, but I mean, yeah, we like to overcomplicate the stuff, right? So this is like the dashboard example. I'm going to run it for a while. English is not my mother tongue, by the way, if you haven't realized. So this is the dashboard, okay? You got several applications installed on it. You can, as you can see, Node-RED also. You install by drag and drop. I don't know what I'm going to delete. Probably anything. I mean, you can launch stuff from here. Those are web applications, but it feels like you're running Android, right? Like you push on the applications and they are popped out. This is real Bash running underground. only in node.js. So you can write almost anything. This is my home folder. This is my development folder. You can pop games from your smartphone. It would feel just like another desktop to you. And since they are web applications, you can directly install them in your Android or iOS. You can get a shortcut. It feels completely like you're accessing another one of your Android applications or iOS applications. You can see all the applications I have running, and you can see the system is a bit buggy and that I haven't designed it really well. But the thing is, you can install stop services running behind, uninstall, I'm not doing to this, and some settings. This is pretty primitive. This is beta stage. But again, I'm not going to play World of Warcraft on my router, so why would I want it? As we said, we still have connectivity limitations in the sense that each of the individual stuff you buy, IoT stuff you buy, is not connected. So why don't we write an application for that hardware that exposes the data you want from it? I mean, it's impossible to write an application for each one of the hubs you buy. It's impossible to write an application for Philips Hue and another one from Lifex, because then it's going to appear a Chinese provider who's going to disrupt the market and so on and so on. So, but writing a Node application, it takes hours, less than hours. You can write a Node application in 30 minutes if you're fast enough. So in TCP, in UDP, you can abstract hardware that is communicating through an API into an app. So in the end, you are installing hardware into the dashboard. What do I mean? It's been 15 years since KNX and X10 were developed as hardware protocols to communicate things, actual hardware protocols, like right on top of Ethernet. Why would we need that if we get the information feeds? We can do that from the application level, and that's what we intend. We intend to write plugins to communicate the hardware into resources we use. So we say lights turn on, and we say that from a Node.js application, not from KNX, not from plain bits, not from Ethernet. We say it because we built an application for that, because we can abstract it, because we know the hardware behind, and we can install applications on a router. It's not a framework. This is just a way of doing things. So going on, it's just one line of code to control a lot of devices. You as a developer, you don't need to understand Philips Hue. You don't need to understand Lifex. You don't need to understand Sonos. You write music. You write lights. You write electrical consumption by topic, and you get the results. You don't need to understand that. How many of you have developed for Android apps? Some of you. iOS apps, more or less the same. You access the resources that are behind. You ask for your location. You don't ask for GPA controller from Qualcomm, tell me please my coordinates. You ask for the resource. So this is what we intend to do. You ask for the lights, you get the lights back. And this is how it looks, a simple application. So I always write the shebang on the top because I don't like to write Node because it's 4 characters long. I just put the shebang. I call the Netbeast API, that is just request, it's a plain HTTP wrapper. It's HTTP requests. And do some random color, push it to lights, and turn the lights on. And as I told you, my colleague broke a $80 bulb the other day, so I built an entirely virtual bulb on plain JavaScript and CSS. This is not an image. This is not anything else. I copy-pasted some, and then I changed the color engine and put some JavaScript on it. So I'll try to write some numbers. This is not a real number. Okay, you see it's working. It's alive. And this is the code. This sample folder got some samples of the work we're doing. This is more or less the code I write before on the slides. If we run it, I hope it works. it's changing, okay? It would understand, I hope it keeps changing because else it's broken. You can see the colors, actually, it's changing on my screen. I swear.
Are the shadows broken?
Well, not exactly. The thing is, the colors are, I'm going to show you another sample which shows better colors, but the API is so immature, it's not translating from hue tones, from HSV, which is a color encoder, to X. But it's something it's going to do in the future. I mean, you push a color in whatever format you want it, and you get it on the other side, translated, because you write JavaScript, you write JSON plugins. I'm going to stop this code. But you can do more interesting stuff. I mean, this works with Philips Hue or Leafex. You can have all of them running together. A virtual bulb and real bulbs will have the same code for run in each environment. So showing something more realistic, if you are a DJ somehow, are in front of a node.js conference, you can do like this, okay? You can change the colors with the music you're playing. I have no sound in here, but you trust me. I'm going to press Control. I'm going to schedule something. Is it playing? No. The thing is, you can write complex applications that will allow you to control something that is in your client's home without knowing what he's buying, because you don't need it. NPM is the fastest growing module provider in the world, and it's only like, how old is it? I'd say 5 years old, more or less. It's so easy to write Node that it's incredibly easy that you can write a plugin for every provider that exists. If you're a provider, it could take you 10 euros to buy some hours of a coder in India, probably, to buy the plugin for your company. This is crude, but this is true. I mean, it's super easy. So if you're a provider, you don't need to care about anymore about the platform. You don't need to care about HomeKit from Apple because it's not needed. You don't need a hub to control everyone. You just need something that works, a computer on the other side, an application. So how does it happen? How can I write a plugin for each thing? How can I write a service that translates into another service? So this is quite old. This has 30 years old, and it's SNMP, which is an electrical engineering protocol, really unused. I mean, we're not implemented it. It's just inspiration. We're not going to use that code because it's quite useless. We're not going to need anything. So it's just, we use a database. It could be JSON. It could be, we use SQLite. RESTful APIs, which means all the providers have a RESTful API on the other side, HTTP, and hooks, that is what you run after something is run. The JWorld system. So we go on. We have this table. We say we have Wemo, Philips, and Nest. Wemo and Philips are for lights, and if you want to retrieve your state, the electrical consumption, you should make a get to that direction. So when you write resource lights.get, you are reaching a status and a slash at the same time, and you will retrieve the information for those without knowing the specificals of both APIs. Now we see the value. These are all with get samples, but we did it in real with set values. We didn't know which was the bulb, the JavaScript virtual bulb API. We did the same code, and it ran. The good thing is you can hook events one to another, because if you call somehow the event number 5, that might mean someone entered your home, you can target another resource number I and say, turn the lights on. Or you can put thresholds and IDs to trigger new actions. So you can do intents as you would do in WhatsApp. You can like say, hey, you want to send your location, choose your own provider. So you can do the same thing here because you're hooking actions from one application to another through a really simple database. You can write Node-RED applications that works for every provider. If you try Node-RED, there is I think you know it because it's being already shown. But the thing is, you can find some modules for Philips Hue or for other providers. For Wimoplug, for example, in this screenshot, you only need one to get working with all the brands you might buy in the future. Are you tired already? More or less, it's fine. It's getting serious. That's why. This is what I call the silence gap or death gap. And this was the trap. I called it microservices, but it is indeed plugins, something that adds functionality to the core, to the router application. But the thing is, those are services. Those are web applications. Everything here is a web application. And everything in the future will be a web application. So tell your Java friends to learn some Node. This is resilient to failure because if some module is badly updated, it wouldn't work. But the other modules are going to work. If you have redundancy, I mean, you can have one light broken, but not 15. Your entire home would not crash because of a AppleKit bug, which is unlikely to happen, but it may happen. There's no configuration principle. You don't need to know anything because you code it. This might seem even more complex, but the thing is not. I don't know, how many of you have deployed Apache applications or engines? Most of you, right? Is it more or less complicated than writing a whole Node application from the beginning? A 2,000 lines of code application in Node.js is as simple as Apache configuration. And this is true. I've been maintaining services, and that's why PAS exists, so you don't need to deal with Apache configurations. It is independent from protocol vendor because you just build more plugins to extend the functionalities. So you write a new microservice, and you extend the configuration, you extend the capabilities of the router, and it's extremely modular. You can really write a really dumb module, and it will work in the whole thing. So it's easier to maintain in the long term. And this is what we get in the end. You write applications that use resources, which is the wrapper API that interacts with the API that calls plugins that abstract hardware. I think this is more complex than the previously explained. But this is how it works. This is the whole picture. You in the end have different hardware. It doesn't matter because you're going to get a lot of gears over here working to translate your API requests from, I don't know, some applications in Android, iOS, or web applications. And please come bother to our Gitter channel. I don't know, do you guys use Gitter? Should we shut it down? There is a guy who is chatting now with us and telling, hey, there's a bug over here and there. But we need action. We need people to try what we're doing. So I ask kindly for you to come to our next meetup if the organizers let me invite you to Wire offices in Koffingerstrasse. You can write some plugins for chess, IoT chess. You can create Node-RED modules. You can just watch us on GitHub because, hey, somebody's watching us. Create whole applications for a router and probably run World of Warcraft over JS because somebody has done it before, and that's it.
We also announced last time. We announced already your meetup. I think on a meetup.
Not yet. I mean, It's just a proposition over here.
No, for the last one, I think
We reached probably, yeah.
We set up the link.
Probably.
Follow the MNUG to see also the links.
Was that in time or was it in time, the talk? I mean, less than, okay.
No, absolutely no problem, yeah.
That's it.
So, we even have a time for a question. Helge.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir, I'm curious. If I would get Netbeast at home,
Yes.
and I would type into my terminal the famous line, sudo make me a sandwich, as you know from XP.
That would be shitty IoT, but indeed you can. Like you can build your own toaster module, and you can make it available for the rest of developers, saying, "Hey, there is a toaster topic. You can pop out your toast. Visit my webpage." The idea here is to save money from providers and vendors, to sell less shitty IoT and make it easier for new providers to come in play, and to save energy. So we are not thinking on smart refrigerators, but it's possible. Everything is possible here. Sorry. Go ahead.
So what you're saying, so you're building basically an operating system.
Yes.
It's Debian and it's Node, and then it's this, let's say, platform or something that runs all these services, connects to
Yes.
hardware, APIs, whatever. Can you just use, I don't know, any computer to do that? Can you just...
Yes, you can. We are using Raspberry Pis for the demo because it was damn easy. You can connect them to your router, and then you have a Netbeast router. What we're doing now in collaboration with Nobody is hack the Google One Hub, and in collaboration with Telefonica too, they're lending us some Fritzbox. So we are transcompiling the dashboard onto Fritzbox, which is probably the most comprehensive router provider in Germany. The thing is, Fritzbox and all routers only use Wi-Fi. But you can plug in USBs. And if you can plug in USBs, then you can control. So, yeah, you can run this from everywhere. I'm running it on my computer without Docker, so it works.
But to interface with the different devices, you still need kind of attached devices to your router. So if I want to kind of control my power sockets, turn them on and off, I need to have one of those 430 these senders on their frequency.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to erase, probably by the moment you would need one.
Okay.
The most painful thing, as the development comes to do, is like, if you were buying a Wi-Fi bulb, you first need to connect to the Wi-Fi of the bulb, disconnect it from its own Wi-Fi to connect it to your own Wi-Fi, and you get back to your own Wi-Fi. And this process can be solved by WPS. And I think it's the future. I mean, you just plug you push a button at the same time on your device and on the router, and they get linked. And everybody will say, but this is damn insecure. Yes, I know. But it is really easy to send a notification to the user saying, hey, this has connected to your network. Do you want to allow or not? So you get a double check VPS configuration, WPS configuration, and you are saving both time and security.
But for those devices that are kind of powered by battery, Wi-Fi isn't kind of really an option.
Exactly. So that's why we are integrating Bluetooth Low Energy and Zigbee. Most of third-party APIs are closed. So if you hack, for example, Philips Hue without their consent, you can get sued. This is quite unreal anyways, because if you hack it and you publish it, they can do nothing. And on the other side, they're going to benefit from it. So you can just tell them, okay, I realize that your code is this. Can I implement it in my application? They're going to say yes. And Bluetooth Low Energy lasts for decades. And the other thing that has, you can profit from is that this is an open OS. I guess that in 2 years' time, we're going to have power over Wi-Fi. I'm not talking big talk here. This is real. This is real, at least for things like your thermometer, stuff like that makes from 1 to 2 measurements by minute. they can get fully charged. Even if you wear a Fitbit, do any of you wear a Fitbit? They can get 40% charge in 1.5 hours with power over Wi-Fi, so it's perfectly possible. It's pretty new, I guess, 2 years' time more or less. So if you have, in the end, a Bluetooth low-energy device that can be charged by Wi-Fi because they share some of the frequency range, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, as an electrical engineer, then you're getting something that will run forever without any hubs. Another good thing is that you don't need internet connection. As I told you before, some of these devices somehow first connect to your smartphone, and then through your smartphone connect to the cloud. This is what Google called WIFT protocol. But it exposes your personal data, it's unneeded, and it drains your batteries. So I think our approach is slightly better.
Yeah, exactly. Compared to the WIFT protocol, I thought the WIFT protocol you can have inside of your kind of home as well.
Yeah, but you can just have Bluetooth, which will make an ad hoc network, and you'll have everything connected. So yeah, it was interesting anyways. I mean, they release it without having much documentation, so I cannot get any deeper. If I'm making a mistake, yes, please tell me. Go ahead.
You know PyMagic?
PyMagic.
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 PyMagic is Py beginning, which is kind of resembling Netbeast.
Yes, but I don't know them. The thing is, I heard of them, but I'm ignorant on what they do. I'm going to be clear. There are like 500 startups of IoT. Most of them close in 1 year's time. And there's all the time, like, I'm trying to gain reach, and I know there are open source as well. So I should read from them soon, but I don't know them. If you want to comment something.
That's fine.
If you allow me a question, at the moment, who's paying for your office in Kaufmannsstraße, and who's going to pay for your office in Kaufmannsstraße?
Okay, it's paying Telefónica Deutschland. Yeah, well, they invest as a startup budget. It's not much. I mean, I don't have really a salary. But they're paying the office. And yeah, it makes connection, and it's being fun being there.
That's why.
In the future, I hope that the community only community without having paid customers will allow us to still be fed by Telefónica or other big provider.
Last question.
So it's more like a remark because I heard complaints about Bluetooth low energy. I also have. And I have many fitness devices run on AEG+.
Okay.
At least that is proprietary. It's on the Garmin, but it's perfectly documented in anything you want with it.
You mean now? Excuse me. You mean now Bluetooth low energy is perfectly documented?
No, Bluetooth low energy.
Okay.
Documentation is
It's really poor, right?
it's like it doesn't exist.
Exactly. They got a newsletter. But they send you anything. I mean, nothing. That's it.
No, so there is Garmin.
Okay.
They own a protocol AEG+.
Yes.
And the documentation is great.
Okay.
And you can work with it.
Okay. Is it really expensive? It's easy. It's really easy to build a small node module from C, so you can get hardware compatibilities like that in a week time. Unfortunately, we are 3 developers, but what we do with these cases is we're trying to find someone in MD5 community to write a plugin for Node.js, and when that's done, you can use it in the Netbeast, because every router has USB connections. So it's perfectly possible to make a compatibility. That's all? Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you again.